The show opens as Los Angeles County Park Ranger Garrett Briggs discovers a huge fire quickly engulfing the forest in his area. The scene then immediately shifts to a cacophony of car horns and sirens as a school bus is caught in the middle of a traffic jam. Inside, a teenager, Everett Lang, is on the phone with his therapist. Everett has an anxiety disorder and takes frequent consultations with a psychiatrist. After being unable to calm himself down, he asks his therapist if he can take another tablet to help himself. On the other hand, the doctor has to immediately evacuate his apartment due to a fire in his building, which distracts Everett to notice what is happening outside. A raging fire has engulfed the forest bordering the street, and people are beginning to abandon their cars for safety. Everett points this out to one of his classmates, Blake, but she refuses to take it seriously. A few moments later, all the students get notifications on their mobile phones alerting them that the classes for the day have been canceled. Another student passes around the news that the surrounding neighborhoods are also being evacuated due to forest fires. Blake, who doesn't own a phone for unknown reasons, is starting to get worried about her younger brother, Danny, who is on the autism spectrum. Suddenly, wild animals storm out of the woods: deer, rams, horses, wolves, causing mass chaos as everyone runs out of the area. The students follow suit and evacuate the bus, running in all directions. Unfortunately, it leads to many people being trampled and injured as rams and horses run right at the confused crowd. As he is trying to find a way out of the chaos, Everett sees the reflection of a huge wolf-like animal growling in the distance. But the scene quickly shifts to Blake, who is also trying to flee from the danger. She notices the bus driver lying on the floor, unconscious, with a huge claw bruise across her face. Suddenly, Everett falls on top of a car only a few feet away from her. Dazed and hurt, he tries to stand up as another car moves right towards him. Blake saves him just before it can ram him. She then yells at him to get away from the chaos before running towards her own home. As she leaves, Everett notices that there is a bite mark on her back, just like the one on his shoulder. Following this, Blake hurries to get home before the fires reach her house. There, her alcoholic father and her younger brother, Danny, are getting into a car, ready to evacuate the place. She goes inside to pack her things when she sees a nasty bite mark on her back. But there's not much she can do about it, as they need to get to a shelter before they run out of space. They get stuck in traffic, so Blake offers to help pay for a motel room, which causes a bit of an argument between her and her dad. Meanwhile, Everett, experiencing severe blurred vision, gets himself to the hospital for care. Before passing out, he manages to tell a nurse that a wolf bit him. A few hours later, he wakes up from a nightmare on the hospital bed. Something weird happens to him next. The hospital phone near his bed rings, but none of the staff are there to pick it up. When he picks up the call, a mysterious voice addresses the teenager by his name and warns him to run away from the hospital immediately. The mysterious caller then adds that he has been bitten, and something is following him with the intention to kill before the next full moon. Spooked by the news, the teenager sneaks out of the hospital that night. In the meantime, Blake reaches the motel with her father and brother. Young Danny points out that her face looks clear of all the acne scars she had as late as this morning. Surprised, she goes to the bathroom to check herself in the mirror and finds it to be true. But suddenly, she starts experiencing hallucinations and sees Everett through the bathroom mirror. She dashes out from the motel to head back to her house on a sudden impulse. In the next scene, we meet another teenager who goes to the same school as Everett and Blake, Harlan Briggs. He is openly gay and currently eyeing up a DJ in a club who also notices him. The DJ hands over his mixer to his colleague and heads towards Harlan. They exchange a few flirtatious quips and head to the back for a heated makeout session. However, after a while, Luna, his twin sister, quietly interrupts them to pull her brother aside. She hasn't heard from their adoptive father, who is a park ranger and was in the woods at the time of the fire. Her brother doesn't think it's a big deal and tries to get back to the fun. The twins also realize that something is different about them, even though it's not the full moon. Harlan's hearing and Luna's sense of smell have suddenly increased, making them wonder what that means. She then receives a call from the police saying that their father's car has been found. The twins are werewolves. Since adolescence, they've always believed that they were abandoned by their biological father shortly after their birth. Fortunately, in the wake of an unusually gruesome forest fire years ago, they were discovered as wolf cubs and adopted by Garrett as such. Although Harlan cares for Garrett, he never completely accepted him as his father and has always yearned to meet his biological family. Meanwhile, Blake runs away unnaturally fast and arrives at her home within a few short minutes. Here, she finds Everett lurking around and questions why he's following her. Following this, they have a conversation where he points out that she was bitten, just like him. The bite mark has healed in the eyes of others, but Blake can still see a gnarly glowing scar on his shoulder. While showing her the scar, He realizes that he has put on years' worth of muscle all in a single day, but they are interrupted by a giant wolf, which chases after them. Blake's dog attempts to ward it off while they sneak away, eventually getting out of the house and making a run for it. Once they've successfully outrun it, everything catches up to Blake, and she has an anxiety attack. Everett, who is used to anxiety attacks by this point, helps her through it using a breathing method. After calming down, Blake realizes she has to make it back to her family despite Everett's warning. On the other hand, he gets a call from investigator Kristen Ramsey, asking him to help her solve the case of the teenage arsonist who caused the fire. It could be someone he knows, even someone that was on the bus with him. In the meantime, the twins make it to the spot where the police have found their father's truck with giant claw marks on the side. They immediately start searching for their adoptive father in the jungle. Unbeknownst to them, the adoptive father, Garrett, is seen trying to navigate through the woods. The flames are becoming too much to handle, causing severe exhaustion. He takes out a tape recorder to record a message for them but quickly realizes that his kids still need him, and he continues on. Suddenly, Harlan, Luna, Blake, and Everett all hear wolf noises in the distance that cause their eyes to roll back, leading all of them deep into the woods. They all start making their way to a parking lot, wondering how and why they were brought there. It's quickly discovered that this wasn't a chance meeting, as their eyes start glowing yellow. Harlan tries to silence Luna as she begins to realize that maybe this is the pack she's been searching for her whole life. However, all of them hear a wolf howl, and Blake panics. She runs away from the rest who follow her and realizes that they are running toward the fire. After a few minutes, they run into firefighters, one of whom had earlier asked Luna and Harlan to return home. When they do not answer her questions truthfully, she escorts them home. On their way, Luna wants to talk to Everett and Blake about what happened, but Harlan keeps interrupting the conversation as he doesn't trust the two strangers. His twin sister asks the two if they were bitten, and Everett truthfully tells her about their bite marks. He even tries to show the bite mark to the twins, but it has healed completely, leaving no traces behind. Following this, Everett reaches home to see his angry mother waiting for him. She slaps him, and his father does not say anything to comfort him, leaving the discussion for the morning. On the other hand, Blake's bite mark is also gone, but she sees her reflection with teeth for an instant. Later, she notices a recorded message on the phone in their motel room and plays it. The person who left the message tells her that she is not safe. While this happens, the firefighter who came to drop the kids home informs the twins that they cannot get to Garrett on foot. It will take time to find and rescue him via helicopters. She assures them that their father is capable of surviving out there for a week. After the officer leaves, Luna reveals that she wants to talk to Everett and Blake, but her brother does not want to risk it. He points out that he does not want to tell the two the secrets that could get the twins killed. However, Luna plans to share the secrets with them because she believes that they are now a part of the secret, too. Later that night, Blake and Everett have difficulty falling asleep, but once they do, they sleep the day away. Blake sees herself lying next to Everett and wakes up scared in her motel room to her brother watching the news. Soon, they are joined by their father, who is stressed as he did not make timely premium payments, which means they do not have home insurance. The following morning, Everett's mother asks him to forget about their previous interaction. She then adds that two police officers, Officer Ramsey and Officer Miller, have come downstairs to question him. Downstairs, the questioning begins, and he tells Officer Ramsey that he ran from the hospital to meet Blake. But both the officers do not believe him. Ramsey does not think he is the perpetrator yet, but she knows he is hiding something. She elaborates that arsonists like to watch their work, and most of them set their first fire before the age of 18. She then adds that the cause is often mental health issues. Finally, she questions the teenager about the students who were on the bus with him that day. After finishing up, the two officers then go to the motel to question Blake. In the next scene, Everett's friend, Connor, reveals to him that he, too, was bitten by what he claims to be a coyote. Everett asks him to get it checked by the doctor once more and call him to let him know what the reports say. That night, while getting a tetanus shot at the hospital, Connor feels acute pain. He is immediately given painkillers, but despite the high dose of sedatives, he remains wide awake. After a few hours, he gets a call from a mysterious stranger who urges him to run away or be killed. This spooks the teenager, who attempts to run away despite having his leg in a cast. Unfortunately, he notices a giant wolf-like creature outside the hospital door and immediately calls Everett, explaining everything. Following this, Everett, who had gone to the motel, gets Blake and the two rush towards the hospital. At the same time, the twins also arrive in the hospital after getting the news of their adoptive father being found. While all of this is happening, in the basement, Connor is being chased by the werewolf he saw outside the door. He manages to escape from the hospital, but his cast gets stuck in a fence. He then breaks the cast but still cannot escape the beast, who catches him. After a while, Everett finds his cast near the fence. Unfortunately, Officer Ramsey arrives at that moment and catches him red-handed to question him again. In a flashback scene, a group of teenagers, which includes a blonde-haired girl, Phoebe, go to watch the fire. Phoebe thinks Blake is responsible for the fire because the latter changed after her parents' divorce. She stopped talking to anyone and stopped using a phone. Unbeknownst to them, the werewolf is near them, slowly climbing the building. But before it could attack them, the police come there and take the teenagers with them. Back in the present day, Officer Ramsey takes Everett, Blake, Luna, and Harlan to the police station for questioning. There, Harlan instructs the others to lie to the police and say that they were all smoking weed in the forest. They are then taken to separate rooms for questioning. When Officer Jang and Ramsey start with Everett, he cannot lie smoothly. Surprisingly, Harlan, who can hear him from a different room, comments on it, and somehow, Everett hears him back. The two girls can also hear him. The four of them suddenly find that they can communicate from different rooms. During the interrogation, Officer Ramsey starts to play mind games with the anxiety-ridden teenager. He tells her that he would like to talk to his lawyer, but she points out that none of them are under arrest. She then elaborately talks about anxiety being a kind of threat response that makes people anxious before sleeping, and asks him what is worrying him right now. In the other room, another police officer, Miller, questions Harlan, but he immediately demands a lawyer. Furious, Miller pushes him, and when the youngster tries to stop him, Miller proceeds to arrest him for assaulting a police officer. Thankfully, Garrett comes there in time and saves his son. Outside the police station, someone slashes Phoebe's tires while she is in her car, preventing her from going home. She does not see who or what did it. Alone and scared, she blares her car's alarm. And thankfully her father arrives to pick her up before anything unfortunate can happen. Inside, Ramsey tells Garrett that the four teenagers volunteered to answer her questions, but Blake calls her out. Luna insists that Garrett needs to take the two other kids home with them as they are just like the twins. As none of them are under arrest, Garrett takes them with him. In the car, Everett tells Garrett about the bite, the phone calls, and his friend, Connor. The park ranger reveals that on the day of the fire, something hit his truck, which caused him to be trapped in the fire. However, he is still determining what he saw. After they reach home, Garrett pulls his children into a room for a personal conversation. His daughter reveals sharing a connection with the two new kids, but Harlan disagrees with her. On the other hand, the rugged park ranger believes that Everett and Blake might be different from them as they were not born werewolves. He also thinks that Luna and Harlan might change. There is a possibility that they might start killing animals, or even people, because they have a pack now. While the conversations are happening behind closed doors, Everett and Blake feel an intense physical attraction toward each other because of the full moon. Blake tells him that a mystery person left a message for her in the motel room, but she thinks that the message could be for her family, a warning that they are not safe from her anymore. After a while, Phoebe calls Harlan, assuming that Blake slashed her tires. In response, Garrett goes to check up on her, leaving the four of them alone. Following this, they discuss their special abilities. Harlan has superior hearing, Luna has a superior sense of smell, Everett now has superior strength, and Blake has gained superior speed. In the meantime, Officer Miller approaches the house and coaxes Harlan to come out to answer his questions. The twins send Everett and Blake to hide inside a room in the basement. When Harlan finally comes out, Miller immediately assaults him. Scared, Luna calls her father to inform him about the situation. Just as the officer pins the youngster against the wall and threatens him, the werewolf arrives at the scene. It drags Miller away into the forest and brutally kills him. Garrett, who is listening to the commotion through the phone, instructs the twins to get the special rifle that he stores in the stables. Immediately, the two find the rifle and the silver bullets kept alongside it. At the same moment, Everett and Blake get a call from the mystery man. He warns them not to leave the house as the full moon is about to pass. Blake goes out anyway, and Everett follows her, trying to stop her before it is too late. But it's too late. The werewolf corners Everett and approaches near enough to sniff him. To his surprise, the beast doesn't attack him and leaves the scene when Harlan fires a silver bullet. Luna believes that the werewolf does not want to kill them anymore because they are all connected and are a part of its pack. In the closing scene, Garrett returns back to find the kids safe. However, Luna and Harlan question him about the silver bullets. He admits that he made the bullets to kill werewolves, including Luna and Harlan. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on the notification, and leave 1,000 likes or 100 comments if you'd like us to continue part 2. Thank you.